Good afternoon, colleagues. My name is Nokuthula Ndlovu, and I will be presenting to you our research paper. I'm not sure. Can you just confirm if you can see my screen?
I can see your team screen, not your
Okay.
paper, not the presentation. There we go. We can see the presentation. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. Okay, so we are going to present on the title, The Roles of Digital Library Platforms in Support of Teaching and Learning, a Mirror into Database Subscriptions. We wanted to, when we first did this presentation, we were trying to source data from our, just 1 second, sorry. 1 second.
No problem.
Trying to find. Can you still see my screen?
No, unfortunately not. It's coming through. We can see your video.
Okay, my video and my slides.
No.
And let me see if I can do this again. And now?
No, not yet.
My apologies, colleagues.
No problem.
Let's see. Wait. Sharing content.
Now we can see.
There we go.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
No,
Okay.
it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. So the study examines the critical role of Wits libraries.
I'm sorry, Nokuthula. I'm so sorry. I think you are not in presenting mode.
Okay, there's a slide. So our methodology, we came up with the research questions as follows. How effectively are digital resources and databases integrated into hybrid teaching and learning environment? The second question that came out was, what challenges do academics and librarians face in facilitating or using e-services for teaching and learning? The third question, how can user training improve awareness and use Wits libraries, digital and virtual platforms in hybrid teaching environment? And the last question, is the Wits library website easy to navigate, and how can it be improved to offer digital services? So colleagues, this methodology, we did it under what we call a desktop research methodology, and we also include internal library data in order to find our findings. Okay, we're gonna go to the next slide. So before we had to, do the findings and do the data analysis, we had to find how many students does Wits have overall. And just to mention that our study, we were doing the research from 2018 all the way to 2023. So as you can see on the slides, the undergrads in 2018 that were enrolled at Wits, it was 25,348. And they slightly increased in 2022, and the number is 25,383. Those were undergrads, and the postgrads were 14,000 in 2018, and in 2022 there were 16,387. So the impact of digital library platforms on learning and teaching. Digital library platforms have become integral into the modern education, offering vast and innovative tools to enhance teaching and learning. The study examines the critical role Wits libraries play in advancing Wits universities' educational objectives, particularly in response to technological advancements. We also explored the various impacts of digital libraries on educational outcomes, drawing from multiple research studies. I need to move to the next slide. There we go. So from literature, these are the key insights that we found. Enhance access of information. Digital libraries provide extensive access to a wide range of digital content, which supports diverse educational needs and enhances the learning and experience. Another key insight is that support for teaching and learning, or learning and teaching, and that is digital libraries are crucial in supporting e-learning by integrating online resources into the learning environment, thus facilitating various types of learning. Another insight that we need to look into also is information literacy. So the use of digital libraries promotes information literacy, helping students and academics to access, evaluate, and use information effectively, which is essential for learning and teaching environment. Interactive and engaging learning. That was another insight. Digital libraries offer interactive tools and resources such as virtual tours, game-based learning, project assignments, which make learning more engaging and effective. So more on key insights from the literature. Improving in e-learning and teaching outcomes. Studies show that digital platforms include digital libraries have a positive impact on learning outcomes, although this affects the size. Although the effect size is generally small. Self-learning and lifelong learning, that's another key insight. Digital libraries encourage self-learning and lifelong learning by providing resources that students can access independently, fostering a culture of continuous education. Just the last two, collaborative e-learning and teaching with embedded information specialist. In this one, what came out of the research literature is that digital libraries facilitate collaborative learning by providing platforms for cooperative planning and teaching, enhancing the effectiveness of educational activities. And the last one that came out was detection of learning difficulties. So digital libraries can help in identifying learning difficulties by analyzing the content accessed by students, allowing educators to tailor their teaching strategies accordingly. All right, so these are the findings. So what came out the pre-COVID, the findings was that the in-person visits and physical resources access, academic libraries were heavily utilized. That was pre-COVID. 2018 up until 2020, beginning of the year. Academic libraries were heavily utilized for in-person visits and access to physical resources such as books, journals, and study space. Also, reference services. Libraries provided extensive reference services, including face-to-face consultation and assistance with research queries. Another service that was very heavily utilized before COVID, this was digital resource online tools. Even before the pandemic, libraries offered access to digital resources, including databases, ebooks, online journals, which were essential for research and academic work. Interlibrary loan services were critical components, allowing users to access materials not available within their own library collection. User engagement and social capital was another finding that came out pre-COVID in terms of usage of our libraries. So libraries served as social and collaborative spaces, fostering academic and social interactions among students and faculty. Okay, let's go back. All right. So findings that were utilized, services that were utilized post-COVID-19, that's from 2021, 2022 coming forward. So we found that increased virtual support and remote services were utilized. Academic libraries saw a surge of virtual support use, including email, chat, and virtual consultations during the pandemic. And libraries enhanced remote user support with tools like email and AI chatbots. The adaptation and innovation in service delivery. This was another finding during the pandemic and coming forward to 2023. Libraries adopted services and created new ones to ensure access despite closures and distancing. Innovations included live chats, video consultation, and strategies to maintain personal connections with users. Enhanced digital library resources. We found that in the libraries expanded online services and digital collections to support research and learning. So post-COVID, users increasingly relied on digital libraries due to the convenience and familiarity gained during the pandemic. So the second last finding was that post-COVID user engagement and community building. Libraries boosted user engagement and reduced isolation by offering programs and events to foster community among students. Despite the challenges, they maintained personal connections, provided emotional support through virtual means. And the last finding was that data-driven adjustment and future planning. So libraries used data pre-COVID during the pandemic and the post-COVID-19 to understand user behavior and guide services adjustments. So trends and feedback informed plans for hybrid environments and the expansion of alternative services post-pandemic. All right. I'm going to introduce my colleague that is going to carry on from the data analysis, Mr. Lazarus.
Yeah, afternoon, colleagues. From the data analysis that we got, so data analysis 1, we are illustrating this data from the library sources. You will find that one of the services that was offered here at Wits Libraries was what we call library chat and library answers dashboard. So if you look at the data, you will see from 2018-2019, the use of virtual services was not was predominantly LibGuides, which is some web pages that we put on our websites for users to engage with our content or to get instruction on how to access our resources. But from 2020, after COVID, you will see now the virtual services, which is the library charts and library answers being utilized. But as you can see, the number of users was very low. And if I move on to 2021, that figure also shows that the numbers were very low, 1,297. And you can see the trend was not very good. Maybe the same people that kept on using these services came back to the library. So we will need to also understand who were these users. But as you can see, our LibGuides were heavily utilized during the entire period, and almost the numbers are almost identical from 2018 to 2023. So this illustrates that a lot of users were not adapting to the new services that were provided by the library, particularly when we consider the number of students, both postgrads and undergrads, that we have quite a number of figures, which is around 40,000. So if we divide the number of users that were visiting us at this particular time, and you can see our numbers are fairly very low. I need to move your slide, sorry. So basically what this data implies is that our users as a university, they are not more into using the library electronically, or they still rely on coming to the library physically to get our resources. Then if I look at the second slide, this illustrates the people that were actually accessing or relying on searching on our library catalog. So according to the interpretation of what we are seeing, adapting to remote services during COVID pandemic indicates users did not change their reliance to use the catalog to find more information and resources even post-COVID period, because you can see the graphs, the numbers are still high, and they are almost not far away from each other, from returning visitors, new visitors, and etc. And also the number of page used. When we talk of page views, these are people that come and visit our library website and to try and gain access to any of our services. Those numbers you can see, they are at almost at the same level. But as we entered 2022, this is probably post-COVID, people started coming back to the library probably, and you can see the blue shirt illustrates the people that were coming back to the library, and that number was also declining. Right. So one of the characteristics that we are so passionate and we wanted to actually look at was the usage of ebooks and e-databases, because this is where our largest budget for the library is going. But if we look at this data, something is quite wrong, that our users are actually not using our services as much as we are paying for these services. You can see on the ebooks the level of downloads. So basically what this means is some people would have, every person, when you download a book or when you open a book, will get a hit, and that these are the hits that are reflected there. So we would have expected this graph to show high numbers if our users were using our electronic resources. Particularly, this is where we are struggling when we pay for such expensive services. Then we find our users are not using them. We get concerned as a library. And this is the message that we want to engage with the academics as to why when the numbers of students are also not showing that going up in the libraries on their physical coming into our libraries. And then we see vis-a-vis the usage of ebooks and databases is also not so good. Then we need to have an engagement as to how we can improve access to our resources. Right. So in terms of the recommendations are high level because we haven't actually started to understand the dynamics that we are seeing in terms of as we write this paper. So what we are asking is more faculty-library collaboration to improve the integration of our digital services to the curriculum. So what we mean here is how can we ensure that the course recommended textbooks are tagged into our Ulwazi system or any other learning platforms that are provided in the university. We also want to have a sustainable e-resource procurement strategies that is based on data usage, as we are demonstrating here, so that we understand what we are buying is also used. We also want to have an impact assessment of our digital literacy programs, because this could be why some of the users are not coming to the libraries. And also we want to evaluate the digital services utilization post-COVID pandemic, so that we can understand how we can also improve our services. Right. One of the elements that we also recommend is Wits libraries can improve online library services by organizing resources using design principles, catering to the specific needs of students, as well as academics and other university community members. But we would want to introduce this through user experience, which is a practice that is now widely used in some of the libraries that we are benchmarking with. We also want to enhance e-library services and embed the library support into the curriculum instruction, electronic referencing. As we picked, we have EndNote, but we would want all the users to understand that when they do proper referencing, then they are likely to use our resources effectively. This could improve the academic performance and enhance the online learning and teaching experience, both for the blended teaching and learning function and or environment. On our side as a library, we also feel that we need a dedicated library service marketing channels, or a department in the library that does our own marketing, not to be restricted by the institutional marketing strategy, because this is where we find that when we compare to other universities, they are quite advanced in terms of marketing their libraries compared to our situation here at Wits. And one of the things that we are also going to look is to analyze whether our website is user-friendly. And as you can see, and from the data that we also illustrated, most of the page views that you were seeing, those would be visitors visiting our website. So user experience is really required in terms of functionality of our website, because our website is the gateway to all our resources in the library. And obviously our instructional material will also be provided on the website, and also it could be videos that we could attach there and provide the basics for students to experience a good library service. So user experience is crucial in designing the website. In conclusion, we are saying digital library platforms significantly enhance learning and teaching by providing extensive resources, supporting e-learning, promoting information literacy, and encouraging interactive and self-directed learning. They also contribute to improved learning outcomes and facilitate collaborative educational activities. So in this way, we are saying the library and the faculties, we need to come together. And digital libraries also have the potential to offer unprecedented resources for supporting e-learning and teaching. But there is a lack of awareness by academics and also from our side as librarians on how best we can integrate Wits libraries resources into a hybrid teaching and learning environment. Therefore, academic libraries have successfully adapted to the challenges posed by the COVID-19 pandemic by increasing virtual support, but innovative service delivery enhancement of digital resources is needed, and we need to focus on user engagement and community building.
Thank you so much, Lazarus and Nokuthula, for your insightful presentation. You really highlight the key role that digital libraries play in enhancing access to information and supporting diverse learning needs. I mean, the integration of interactive tools and resources is particularly valuable in today's, evolving educational landscape, especially in South Africa as well, where we face different unique challenges in access and digital literacy. So I'm not sure if anyone on the floor will have a questions. At least we might have maybe time for one or two. If no one on the floor have a question, I do have a question in the chat. Someone asked, even though students have access to vast amounts of information, how do digital libraries assist those who struggle with exercising agency in their learning?
Okay, I'll go for this one. I think the students need to come to library orientation, and then they also need to do information literacy. So what we find is that as much as students attend Wits orientation, but they don't go for library orientation where they can be assisted in terms of accessing information. So if they attend those, then they'll be able to access digital information in the digital library.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, as you said, most often students don't know there are initiatives and programs out there to support them, and we need to mark it out more. But thank you so much, colleagues, and thank you for your presentation. It's truly enriching and learning all these different aspects of how we can enhance student success. So closing off today, we do. Yes, sorry, Lazarus.
Yeah. So I think if you look at our data, what we are saying here is, as much as some students visit the libraries, but what can the academics do for students to come to the libraries? So that's the engagement that we are proposing here. That from the finding that we are picking from literature review, there is much to say in other universities. There is that coexistence as library and staff and faculty. I don't know if we have any academics who of the academics have an embedded librarian in their course modules.
I would like to pose the questions to the academics on the floor. Anyone would like to answer that?
Yeah, so I think if we don't have any comment, which means there is none of our academics who has an embedded librarian in their course modules. Yes, we do have relationships, but we need to have an embedded librarian in each of the courses as part of how they will enable the students to access our resources and also to appreciate the things that are provided by the university for them to succeed as graduates. Thank you.